If you're seeing this video, there's a good chance that you're the kind of person who enjoys rolling dice and taking the random results that show up there to determine success or failure, or to determine the outcome based on some random table. Well, today we're going to be taking random tables from the Tome of Adventure Design by Matt Finch, and we're going to roll some dice, and we're going to see if we can put together the framework for an adventure. So, without further ado, let's roll. Hey friends, I'm Brian at Jacoby, and today we're going to take a look at the Tome of Adventure Design by Matt Finch. We're going to be using the revised edition, which is available on DriveThruRPG. You can check the video description down below for a link to this resource. And if you are a game master, this is a resource that I highly recommend, especially if you're somebody who is either creating campaigns on your own, homebrew campaigns on your own, or if you find that your party is frequently heading off the beaten path of the published adventure that you're running, or if you just want to create a series of one-shots to have available for occasions when either you're going to be running a one-off game, or sometimes what we do with my gaming group is if not everybody can make it to a session, sometimes we'll play a one-off of a different campaign, things like that, play around with different character classes and things that we've created. So this book is a system neutral resource, so it doesn't matter if you're playing Pathfinder 1st edition, 2nd edition, Dungeons and Dragons of any edition, Fate, any number of role-playing games. The tables that are presented here are fantasy-based, so I don't know if you're running Deadlands or something like that, or a Call of Cthulhu game, something like that. This may not mesh well with the game that you're playing, but maybe it's worth a try. Let's flip the camera around a little bit here. We'll take a look at this content. So on the left side of the screen, I have the Tome of Adventure Design PDF called up, and I have a Google Doc here where I'm going to be taking some notes as we go through and roll up this adventure. So just as an initial flip through, table of contents, flipping, lots of table of contents there. Some introduction, just kind of talking about creativity and how do you find inspiration for the games that you're creating or playing. Chapter 1 talks about sort of what are the necessary elements of an adventure. We start out with a backstory and a location. The backstory, we're going to backfill that. So we're going to be using some of the initial tables from chapter 1 to come up with location and a couple of missions that interface with that location or those locations. Then we'll fill in some backstory, and then we'll sort of continue adding these other pieces in later videos. So again, here talking about adventure design, go pick up the book and you can sort of read through all the thing. So the first table that we end up with here is talking about locations, and this is an overview approach. So here, there are actually 2 tables here that have 4 columns that you roll percentile dice on, and then you take each of the 4 rolls that you take the first, the first descriptor. The second column is the structure, a feature, and a second feature word. So lots of opportunities to sort of mix and match a whole bunch of things here. I'm going to roll up 4 different locations, 2 from the first table, 2 from the second table, just to kind of mix it up a little bit and use all of the tables that are here. So my first roll comes up with a 65. So let's see what we have for the first descriptor here. Invulnerable. All right, so location 1 is the Invulnerable. Second roll is 87. The Invulnerable Palace of the. Third roll is 11. So we have the Invulnerable Palace of the Bronze. 92. Statue. Invulnerable palace of the bronze statue. Okay. Maybe that's this combination of 4 words. Maybe that's enough to invoke some ideas. Like, oh, okay. So I have this palace that maybe it's ruled over by a bronze golem of some sort. That could be enough to sort of get your creative juices flowing and come up with an adventure. But let's roll 4 of these out and see what we come up with, because there might be a couple of ideas that we mix and match in here. Idea number 2. So the demonic bastion of the Kabbalistic chanter. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Now we're going to head over to location table number 2. So basically, same structure. It's just a second list of 100 entries with 4 different columns that we can roll on. So, fabrication castle of the deceitful spirits. All right. We'll roll up one more location here. The horrid hall of the Scarlet God. That 4th descriptor just kind of makes me think of the Scarlet God, maybe some sort of blood god. And the horrid hall of the Scarlet God is a temple dedicated to sacrifice, blood rituals, things like that. That could be kind of fun, yeah. All right, so that's a quick taste of rolling on the locations table. So pretty quick, you can come up with a couple of different locations and then use one of those to kick off your inspiration. The second set of tables here is using a sort of purpose-based approach to your adventure design or your location design. So the first, the way that these are set up, the first table or the first 2 tables kind of gives you a description of the location. The purpose-driven approach tells you what is that location currently being used for. So it could be that the horrid halls of the Scarlet God, maybe that's a dead god, or maybe maybe some adventurers or another followers of a deity came in and wiped out the followers of this blood god, and so the horrid hall is no longer being used. What is its current purpose? All right, so approach 2 is a purpose approach. And again, I think I'll roll up 4 different purpose-based approaches, just because that seems fun. So, the Winter Gallery. Okay. Number 2, Witching Separator. I'm not sure what a witching separator could be. But that's what we, throw all of these things together, and now you're forced to kind of think about, what would a witching separator be? What does that mean? Now you come up with something interesting. And maybe that sort of, as you pull on this thread, you come up with something that's not even related to a witching separator, whatever that is. But this is fun, right? The Death Harvester. That fits in pretty well with location number 4 above, yeah? Fossil Moat. So, 4 purposes. This is what is our location currently being used for. So there are some descriptors that we can play around with, massage a little bit, and figure out how does this play into our adventure. Next, we have missions. And with our missions, we'll roll on a couple of tables. So we're going to roll for the mission type. Then there are separate tables that describe each of what that mission type entails. So if you roll a 50, you have an item. So then you come up with some random ideas for what's a mission that involves an item. Maybe you're recovering an item. Maybe you have to go steal an item. Whatever else. Maybe you're transporting an item, something like that. Then there are some additional tables for who's giving you the quest, why are they giving you the quest, why would the player characters be invested in this quest. So let's come up with a couple of missions and see where we go. So, all right. So, individual base mission. So we have a series of columns here to roll on. So we roll on table 1-8. Table 1-8 is the patrons and targets. We have to incriminate or frame an agent of a deity. Okay. Let's hop back up here. Now we have a location-based mission. So we find our table here. We have to reinforce a castle. All right. Now we have a couple of event-based missions, 3 event-based missions. So number 1 is going to be criminal conspiracy. All right. We have to plan and execute a criminal conspiracy. 62. Prevent murder or attempted murder. Our next event-based mission is going to be destroy results of criminal conspiracy. All right. So maybe we have to plan and execute a criminal conspiracy and then destroy the evidence or results of that criminal conspiracy. Sabotage an archaeological dig. So we have a couple of ideas for missions here, right? Just based on the titles. The item-based mission, sabotage an archaeological dig. Maybe that is the fossil moat that surrounds the horrid hall of the Scarlet God. Or sabotaging the archaeological dig in the fossil moat of the fabrication castle of deceitful spirits. So now you kind of see how this is starting to take a little bit of shape. We can mix and match some of these results and figure out some ideas of a little quest here. We still haven't gone back to backfill the background, right? In fact, I'm going to add that right up here. Now let's put a little bit more detail in each of our 6 missions. So the next thing that we need in our mission is to determine who is our patron or target. So the way this works, first we figure out what is the mission type, what is the mission, then we figure out who is hiring us to perform this mission. All right, so we have a 92 is our first roll. Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be a D1000. So let's re-roll that. 163. A pirate captain. Patron for mission number 2 is going to be a gambler with a lucky charm. Wants us to reinforce a castle. That seems weird, but is an undertaker who wants to plan and execute a criminal conspiracy. 603, a poor minstrel, is asking us to prevent a murder or an attempted murder. All right, next we have 898. A teamster wants us to destroy the results of criminal conspiracy. So maybe this teamster is part of a criminal group, and they are hiring us to destroy the results of the criminal conspiracy. All right, now we have 994. A wizard working on a commissioned task has asked us to sabotage an archaeological dig. The next series of tables tells us what is the patron's motivation. So why is the patron asking us to pick up this mission? So we'll roll on here 6 times. And this pirate captain wants to gain status over a former compatriot. So maybe this pirate captain used to be in cahoots with the agent of the deity. Right, up next, the gambler. Removal of via kidnapping. That is the removal of an employer. And that's why they want us to reinforce the castle. Sometimes random tables don't make sense. But maybe we can come up with a story-based approach that gives us a reason why this gambler is motivated to kidnap an employer or a former employer, and that is their reason for sending us on a quest to reinforce a castle. We'll leave that for later. I have some ideas of how that might work, but again, that's the fun of this, because I would not have thought of this combination of motivations and patrons and missions, right? Okay, up next. The Undertaker wants us to remove by death a parent. One of his parents. Wow. This guy's not playing around, eh? All right, let's find out the motivation for our poor minstrel. 50 is the first roll, so protect reputation of or from parent. All right. So they want us to, this could be fun. So this could be a couple of storylines that sort of mesh together. The Undertaker wants to hire the players or the player characters to execute one of his parents. The poor minstrel is the Undertaker's brother or sister, and they want the player characters to protect the parent. So, depending on whose side the player characters end up on, now you have two different ideas of a mission. Same maps, same stat blocks, but you have two different sort of flip side of things. That's actually getting kind of fun. So, let's see about this Teamster. Gain honor stolen by former compatriot. All right. And next, our wizard, working on a commissioned task. Their motivation is rescue temple or religious society. So again, if this wizard is asking us to sabotage the fossil moat that surrounds the horrid hall of the Scarlet God, maybe they are trying to avoid the resurgence of the Scarlet God or the cult of the Scarlet God, or maybe this is a necromancer or a blood mage, and by sabotaging the fossil dig, he's ensuring that key elements that give this temple some of its power aren't being removed from the site or otherwise being disturbed. So, now, for each of these missions, we also come up with a hook or a motivation. Like, why are the players enticed to do this? Why are the characters, like, what would entice the characters to undertake this mission? All right, so for number one, we have the motivation is that they are going to receive useful information. And then we have a table for how did they learn about the opportunity, or how did they find out about this mission? People who recently arrived in town have given, maybe the pirate captain has just pulled into dock. The characters have to get some information about something, and the pirate captain has that information. So they go to visit the pirate captain, and he says, yeah, I'll give you some information, but first, you have to do this thing. You have to incriminate or frame the agent of a deity. All right, our party motivation to reinforce the castle. Improvement in movement rate. Okay, so improvement in movement rate. That could be faster overland travel, faster oversea travel, air travel. It could be potion of speed, boots of speed, something like that. They find out about this. Inquiries in tavern lead to a rumor of this potential opportunity. So they're in a tavern looking for adventures, and they find out that, oh, you know what? Billy the Gambler was going on about needing folks to pull off some sort of something. Okay. Now, the party motivation to align with the Undertaker. Okay, so to permit travel, the casting of teleport, creation of a planar gate, opening of dimensional gateway, etc. And they learn about this mission from a potential employer who contacts the party to tell them about this opportunity. Party motivation for aligning with the minstrel, again, related to travel. They learn about this from, again, a potential employer contacts the party. So maybe, this is kind of fun, maybe the potential employer, so the party has some contact somewhere, or maybe it's the barkeep at a tavern, and the party's like, hey, keep your eyes and ears open for adventure. Somebody who might be looking to hire some adventurers to go do something. Well, the barkeep says, oh yeah, the Jones brothers, whatever, have an opportunity. And so they are directed to find the Jones brothers. One of them is an undertaker. One of them is a poor minstrel. Maybe he occasionally performs in the tavern. So they can see one of these two Jones brothers, and they find out about one side of this opportunity. The Undertaker seems to have potentially a faster route to get somewhere. The minstrel, who you might think is the good guy, just based on the black and white text of this, you might assume that he's the good guy, has a similar reward, but maybe it's not going to be as quick to get to the destination. I like these two missions used alongside each other. Okay, party motivation for our teamster. To gain forgiveness or pardons for prior actions. A potential employer, again, contacts them about that opportunity. And for our wizard, or the party motivation is to learn an additional language. Okay, so maybe there's a dead language that the party needs to unlock access to. And this wizard either knows the language, has resources, or contacts who have the resources. The person offers to trade information about the opportunity in exchange for money. So, somebody hears that the party needs to be able to read this old dead language and says, I might know somebody if you pay me. All right, up next we have the villain's plan. So here, we're not yet even really describing who the villain is yet. First, we're going to come up with an idea of what is the villain intending to do. Like, what is the big plot that this villain has? Then we'll start to backfill agents who work with this villain, henchmen, stuff like that, and then put some pieces together from there. So our first villain is, or the first villain's plan is the desecration of something. So the desecration of a location, item, or event could be targeted on religion or against a tradition. Okay, so that fits in with a couple of our locations. 92, subversion to the villain's purposes. plan option number 3. Plan could be conversion. Number 4, gain favor with another villain. That's kind of fun. All right, so now we have the villain's plan, and there is a subtable for each of these plan types. So first we go to, on the desecration table, we roll this. Right, so we have targeting the priesthood with guile. So the villain plans to eliminate or remove the servants of a holy site by trickery, then occupy, desecrate, or destroy the site. He might do so by impersonating a messenger from the high priesthood, calling the priests away to an emergency, conclave. A nearby natural disaster might also be used as the decoy. All right, up next we have a subversion to the villain's plans. So they're going to do this by encouraging attendance at a good or neutral seeming temple that actually supports the worship of an evil deity. Conversion. They're going to convert people through demonic gifts. All right, and then item number 4, gain favor of another villain. And they do that by rescuing it from prison. Minion acting on own initiative to curry favor. So, whoever the villain is that is going to be enacting this, they're not necessarily the big bad evil guy. They're a minion of the big bad evil guy. So they're going to be working to rescue the bigger evil from a prison. All right, now that we have some ideas of a villain's plan, we're going to create some minions. Yeah! So I think we'll probably do 4 of these as well. The first is a barbaric military leader with troops who maybe aren't so intelligent. So an unusual characteristic is that they're more powerful than the villain. What is the reason that they're following those orders? Because they receive food and shelter. All right, so that's minion number 1. Minion number 2 is a nobleman, merchant, guild official, or a city official of some sort. An odd characteristic is people routinely forget the minion's face. So that's kind of fun. And they work for the villain because the villain is using them as an advisor. It's our next. Okay, so powerful barbaric warrior. Unusual characteristic. They're crippled or maimed. And they're working for the villain because they were deceived as to the real nature of the villain's activities. And our final minion role is a stupid peasant. Possibly one of many such minions. Their unusual characteristic is 89. They're very honorable by some particular code. Okay, and they work with the villain because they're a grateful retainer, saved from something by the villain. Okay, and that's actually in my head. That was already kind of where I was going with this idea, is that their code of honor was driven by maybe the villain saved them from death. All right, that is the end of chapter 1. So we've come up with a fair number of randomly generated ideas for locations, for missions, for the villain's plan, and for some minions. I'm going to take these. I'm going to start massaging them a little bit, come up with some ideas around them. I'll probably also drop these into a poll, so you can vote on these. So I'm going to pick out some nuggets that I think work well together, but I want people to also vote on this. Which of the minions do you think seems like an interesting thread to pull on? Which of the villain's plans seem like a good thread to pull on? Which location do you like the best? Which mission sounds like it might be the most fun to map out. So vote on that. And if it doesn't match up with the options that I picked, I will also, in future videos, put some more thought and effort toward whichever missions, minions, etc., get the highest votes in the poll. So keep an eye out for that poll. Again, the link to purchase the Tome of Adventure Design from DriveThruRPG is going to be in the video description down below. The next couple of videos are going to be similar to this in that I'm going to be using the Tome of Adventure Design to generate some random ideas and then putting those ideas together into a more cohesive framework for an adventure. If you like this, hit like, hit subscribe. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. And until next time, roll well, my friends.